welcome to Be a Voice. This is Brick Carpenter on Usula Media. Thanks for joining me today. Today I am having a little casual bit of a day. It's been a little crazy day for the day, but a little casual day, and that's good because my guest today is somebody that I'm very casual, very comfortable with, a person that's been around for quite some time with myself and the organization that I run named Philly Unknown, our nonprofit. And today I am sitting here with my guest and the program director of Philly Unknown, Michael Worthy. Hey, Mike.
Hey, man.
How
What's
are
up?
you?
I'm all right.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Getting over a little sickness?
Yeah, it's still hanging on a little bit, you know what I mean? So I hope it doesn't get in the way of what we're doing.
Yeah, you're fine. You'll talk. You have no problem talking. Once you start talking, man, sometimes it's hard to shut you up.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So you're cool with that. You know, and I'm glad that you broke out the brand new kicks to come in here today.
Oh, yeah.
Those are awesome. Are those green?
Huh?
You got the green on? For Eagles green?
No, Nike. Black.
You know, those are black?
Mm-hmm.
It's a light hitting them then. They look green.
Yeah,
We'll go with that. So I wore these one day, and my buddy Celso said to me, those are really nice Bobos. I'm like, these are Adidas. He's like, they are not. I'm like, they are.
Bobos. Did you know what he was saying?
The Bobos. I knew what he was saying. All old people know what Bobos are. You know what Bobos are. You laughed. You know.
AMP, man. Yeah.
You wore them.
AMP specials.
You wore them. You still do.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, why not, right?
Why pay more when you can pay less?
Feet are comfortable. It's all that matters. And at your age, comfort is important.
Oh, tell me about that.
Yeah. So this is going to be a good show. We talk a lot. We talk almost every day. But, there's things that when we do talk and we do talk about stuff about our lives, it's usually in groups of people. It's usually around others because of what we do with Philly Unknown and, what your role is and just who you are and what you've been doing. And I know you, and I know you as Mike, and I know you as Michael Worthy, and Michael Worthy, the man about town who helps everybody out. But you are a person in long-term recovery. Mm-hmm. How many years?
17 years, January 2nd.
17 years. You just hit 17 years in recovery.
Yep.
Abstinent for 17 years of
clean
all
and
things.
sober for 17 years
Clean
and practicing
and sober.
recovery.
Get out of here.
Practicing recovery.
Practicing recovery. Isn't that interesting that after 17 years, you're still practicing?
I don't know if it's interesting, if you actually truly plan on following the program. It's going to always be constant and constantly changing.
So you follow the program?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. I connected to the spiritual aspect of the program for me because I need to step outside of what I know. You know what I mean? Everything, I know everything kind of person.
Yeah,
and
you do.
Somebody that's directing my path and allowing me to follow it and staying on that path.
So that know-it-all feeling, you've had that your whole life?
Oh, yeah.
That's always been...
Well, there was no choice, you know what I mean? We grew up with no father figure in the house. You know what I mean? My mother had 7 children, and I ended up being the eldest male, so I ended up taking on that mantle.
So you took on that father role, father knows
and
everything.
I never got an opportunity to play the kid.
No? No. So you aren't originally from Philadelphia?
Oh, no. Union, South Carolina.
South Carolina?
Oh, yeah.
How long ago did you come to Philadelphia?
I came to Philly at 14 years old.
All right. So you spent your growing years,
here.
Those formative years here.
Mm-hmm.
Very important years.
Yeah, they were, but they didn't yield anything out of positivity. You know what I mean? Because from the first day that I woke up here, I saw a guy. I was looking out of my 3rd floor window, and this is the day we moved here. And I saw this guy sitting on our steps outside, and 2 guys coming up the street, and 2 more guys coming the opposite way up the street. And they walked up to the guy, and the first 2 held his hands, and the other 2, one held his legs, and the other took a brick and smashed him in the face. So I had an awesome introduction into Philadelphia.
So you came from South Carolina, small town South Carolina. Mm-hmm. Why? Why would
my family moved here?
Your mother for a job?
Yep.
Work?
Yeah,
did
she
you,
moved here
did
for
you
work.
have family here already?
Oh, yeah, I did. Actually, my uncle lived here on 17th and Swain, 17th and Styles, just right up Ridge Avenue.
Oh, yeah.
Going to the 18th Street Playground. Mm-hmm.
Sort of around the corner from the thrift store that we run.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So your mom moved here for a job, all 7 kids?
Oh, yeah, all by herself.
All by herself. Mm-hmm. And you as the oldest male, 14.
Yep. So the responsibility that I had to take on was quite a bit. You know what I mean? I needed to learn the city and what it was about and how to maneuver within it. Mind you, I'm from down south. I don't know nothing about this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? But I had to learn these tactics in order to protect my younger siblings.
So you didn't have public transportation like this?
Oh, no.
Philly public transportation, nothing like
that. If a bus came and picked us up, we were fortunate. Yeah, I mean, because at this time you're talking about us being in the early '60s, mid '60s, and desegregation hadn't happened. You know what I mean? So they'll come pick up the white kids, but they'll leave the black kids to walk to school and walk back home regardless of the weather. And my family didn't approve of us not going to school because we had an opportunity. So whatever the weather, we were going.
So back in the 60s, your determination on whether you were going to school or not was if the bus was going to pick you up?
No, we went anyway, but
You
we
went
couldn't
anyway.
trust that the bus was going to take us.
But if you didn't have means to get there, you wouldn't have went.
walked.
You walked. And how far of a walk? So
School
you really.
the school was about 5 to 6 miles away from our house.
So when you say when I was your age, we walked to school, you're one of that, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm realistic about that.
realistic.
I mean, I'm the guy that walked to school with the hole in the bottom of his shoes filled with newspaper or cardboard. Yeah, that was a reality for us.
7 kids.
7.
How old
And that's
are the
just my
youngest?
mother kids. That's not counting the rest of the people that were living in the household. I think there were 13 of us all in the house.
Growing up in South
Aunts,
Carolina.
uncles, mother and grandmother.
So family,
Mm-hmm.
all family. Small town.
Oh, extremely small. It's so small to the point where there was no access to anything. If we had food, it was food that we grown with a little bit of money that we made. We bought more food, but what we didn't have, we ended up trading with the neighbors. You know what I mean, for what we needed. Or, yeah, everybody knew everybody.
So coming to Philly, where you moved to where? What part of Philly?
We moved to 19th and Brown when we first moved here.
Ooh, Francisville.
We were at 19th and Brown, then we moved from 19th and Brown just down the block to 17th and Swain in front of the Darrell School.
Your uncle. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I used to go to school in a T-shirt, just come out my door and run across the street to the school. So that was pretty cool, and we stayed there to sometime in the 80s, and we moved over to Mount Vernon Street, 10th and Mount Vernon, just above Spring
On the
Garden.
other side.
On the other side. So I had to walk to school through 2 gangs while they were fighting. They just let me go.
What years was this?
They just let me go. This was 78, 79.
In an area like that?
None of them bothered me. They just let me go.
So at the age of 14, you got here. You had a culture shock.
Oh, yeah.
Huge shock.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to, play dad to, 6 siblings. Trying to maintain while mom's working and go to school and everything. And, here you are then thrown into a world that you don't know. How did the addiction start?
Oh, that was later down the line. Actually, I think that I can actually take a look now back at it and see where it could have started to jump off that I didn't recognize. See, the thing about addiction is that even though we're using it at the moment, we can't see the progression of it, where it's going to take us later down the line. And I think that when we moved here, a while after we moved here, I was walking around. I didn't tell you I walked around and got lost, did I?
That's every day for you, Michael.
I walked around and got lost, and I
What do
ended
you
up
mean?
sitting on the steps.
You
And
got
I
lost from where?
I walked out of my house just to take a walk around the neighborhood, and I got lost. I didn't know where my house was. This was day 1. So I sat down on the step, and I was going, oh, man, where the hell do I live at? And my mother comes out the door, and she says, are you all right?
You had no idea.
I
you were
sat
there.
on my own step.
That sounds like something you might do today too, though.
Isn't that
It really
weird?
does.
Isn't that weird?
It is. Well, you sort of knew where you were at, though. Do you
Yeah.
think that was sort of an anxiety that hit you there because you didn't know where you thought you didn't know where, or a fear?
I know. I think it was more of walking around and looking at these kids that were my age or maybe a little bit younger, smoking weed, smoking cigarettes, drinking beer, hanging on the corners, cursing and yelling and screaming at each other.
That
And the
didn't happen
parents
in South
didn't-
Carolina?
And the parents, oh hell no, and the parents was just oblivious to it. I mean, it was really crazy. I mean, you can't do that down south because 1, you're not gonna be hanging on no corners, especially not no black people hanging on no corner, and secondly, the parents had a better grip on their children. I mean, when you said be home at such and such time, that kid was home at that time. He wasn't chancing nothing. Even when the sun started going down, you can hear people going, "Oh man, I got to go. I had to get home."
So when you moved to Philly at that age, was the segregation then?
Yeah, barely.
Was it shifting?
Yeah, I think it had already made the shift actually, because My brother, he went to Great Valley High School out there where those white people are. Those upper middle class white people
That's
out there.
far out.
Yeah. It's out in the Paoli,
Yeah.
Devon.
Why? How did he get all the way out there?
He has some family from his father's side out there. There was 6 of them, 6 cars in that house because they all needed to go to school and to work.
So he went to Great Valley. Mm-hmm. Where did you go?
I went to start a flasher on 13th Street, and then I moved over to William Penn, and when they moved over to Benjamin Franklin, while they were building William Penn, and when they opened Penn, I was one of the first students to go there.
So did you graduate from high school?
No, I dropped out. I dropped out of school in the 8th grade.
8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
So high school started in 8th grade then? So what made you drop out?
Well, no, high school didn't start at 8th grade. But I dropped out of 8th grade because I stopped going to class in that point.
What made you stop going?
Too slow.
School was too slow where you were.
They were.
They were.
Yeah, I come from down south, an education system in the South that was much higher and much faster. You know what I mean? Because all these people in my class were all white people. And they going to get their education.
Were you bored?
So we just was tagging along and catching on to the education while they were teaching it to them. But
Were you bored?
up here,
school?
hell yeah. Because I came up here and went to the 5th grade. I got skipped from the 5th grade to the 7th grade, and I went to the 7th grade. I got skipped from the 7th grade to the 9th grade. This is how slow the system was. And my reading levels were so high, they just couldn't help but pass me.
But you dropped out though.
I did.
But you liked school.
Because I was bored.
But you liked school.
I did.
You like learning.
Oh, yeah, I was smart.
You still like learning.
Oh, yeah, still smart.
So in 8th grade, to make, what did you do? What did you do?
We went in the front door like most people do when they go into school. They go into their classroom. But instead of us going to classroom, me and my best friend, we would go in the building, out the back, down South Philly, and hang out down the Italian market till 3 o'clock.
Just hang out down there.
Mm-hmm. And when it got close to the time to come home, we started making it back home. We would go back in the back door and back out the front door.
So you officially stopped going
I think
to
one of
school.
the things that played a role in that was that each time the classes would change, that they'd be fighting in the hallways because there was like multiple gangs in that school. You know,
So the gang.
I think it was
you said back to
an
gang presence
act of
before.
survival.
Was okay. So you didn't want to go to school for those reasons?
Yeah,
I can see
definitely.
that. Was it so the gang presence was heavy then?
Oh yeah. You kidding? Yes. I mean, I remember them trying to get me to join, which wasn't going to happen because my mother didn't play me joining nothing unless she knew about it. And so instead of them getting me to join, we made a deal. I'll run for them. You know what I mean? And that's it. So if they needed weapons, I'll go pick it up, bring it to them, drop it off. When they're done with it, I'll pick it up, take it back, shoot. Because I was the fastest person around that they ever seen.
So you learned the streets quickly.
I had no choice.
And
I
what
had
age
5
was that you
former
started
brothers.
running?
I had 4 more brothers.
So what age was that you started running?
17, I think. About 17.
So did you have a job in between that? Like when you left school in 17?
I took a job around.
I just find it interesting
I
that
think I
somebody
took a
leaves.
job around 20 years old.
Okay.
And I was working on the corner of Spring Garden and Ridge. There used to be a guy that used to have a newspaper stand there right on that diamond thing. But he took it and changed it around and made it a hoagie shop and gave it to his son, Paul Block. I remember that fine. And I started working with Paul. Crazy white guy. Loved his attitude. Loved the fact that he didn't give a shit what color you was. It didn't matter to him. He just liked having fun. So me and my friends all ended up working for him. So that was pretty cool because the restaurant was ours actually. Keep it open as late as we want or close it whenever we want to. And everybody got served, and it got served with kindness and courtesy.
So,
cool.
there was some good stuff. There was some bad stuff, in like everybody else's life. Everybody goes through their own,
Sure.
Trials.
Learning curves.
So I want to know, when did the addiction start then? And how?
That started around 19 years old. I think it started before that. I think it began when those guys were standing on the corner drinking beer and I wanted to be a part of them. So I'm not a good person for making friends. because I'm really, really particular about who I want as a friend. Because most friendships, like most romances, you have to give a percentage to get back. And I'm not a person that wants to give anything because I want all mine.
Mr. VIP, put that on silent. You're not answering a text in the middle of this. How are you? Oh,
Let's turn it off. I need to put in a code to turn it off.
So it's funny you say that because you actually, to this day, at this stage, you make it very clear about that boundaries with people too. Like if you're going to establish a friendship of some type, you're going to feel that out, and you're really that started young for you.
I'm a great judge of character. I'm a great judge of individuals. You know what I mean? I don't know if this grew or became more when I went to school for psychology. It helped me learn how to look into who people were and why they present themselves the way they do. And so I can pretty much have a 5-minute conversation with somebody and I know more about them than they can tell me with their own mouth in 5 minutes.
So with all this, why did it start? Just because you wanted to be cool?
I wanted to, at the beginning. But then remember, I talked to you about the progression of this thing that you don't see coming. You know what I mean? It started off probably this beer drinking on the corner or cans here and there, maybe even smoking a joint here and there once in a while.
Were you a 40 drinker?
Huh?
You drink 40s?
I wasn't anything. I was just from down south.
No, when you were up here, do you drink 40s, cans? What do you drink?
Yeah, later down the line. Yeah.
Mad Dog? What do you drink?
Oh, everything. Everything. Me and the guys used to stand on the corner with bottles of Thunderbird and orange juice.
What's Thunderbird?
Wine.
What?
Wine.
All right. Wait, you would mix wine and orange juice?
Cheap wine.
You would mix wine and orange juice?
No. The orange juice was for the other stuff we had, the vodka.
Oh, okay,
You know what I mean?
good.
It was crazy, man. That point, I was watching this whole thing play out, especially now that you brought it up. You know what I mean? I watched the switch from the little cans of beer and one joint a week maybe to now snorting powder. You know what I mean? Taking pills. Not very much. I wasn't a pill
And it
person.
wasn't until 19 that you tried your first drug or anything like that?
Yep.
Did you lose some sense of this, like, patriarch
I
aspect
found
of the family?
the freedom.
Paternal?
I found the freedom in being here. So I had to come home one day and tell my mother, you have a choice. You're either going to be out there selling this stuff or you're going to be taking it. So I choose to sell it, but also wind up being coming. I take it.
So you weren't a really good runner, were you?
Oh yeah.
Good runner,
For
but
the
not a
gun?
good seller.
Oh yeah, no, not a good seller.
Not a good seller.
I ain't like selling anything. Not good at that at all. But I learned to become good at it. You know what I mean? I ended up on a masher in Indiana, the only black guy over there working. You know what I mean? My own shift. I sold out everything I had.
What do you mean the only black guy working in Master, Indiana?
I moved to Masher in Indiana.
Masher or Master?
Masher.
Oh, Masher. Mm-hmm. Oh, so
actually, I was more right on Mutter.
Whose territory was that?
Some Puerto Rican guy named Pig.
Okay, so it was a Puerto Rican territory. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I ended up being the only black guy around there that was working.
Was that a segregation back then as well?
Oh, this wasn't very long, so yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this wasn't that long ago. Well, it is now, but at that time, it wasn't that long ago. It wasn't no more than like 10 years from the 19 years. So 29.
That's long.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff happens in those years. 29 years.
Everything that
90s
happens
were
to
a
me-
different time, brother.
Yeah, everything that usually happens to me in long terms. You know what I mean? I don't recall myself spending a minimum year on anything at all, whether it was worthwhile or not. I always dedicated myself and my time to what I was doing.
But that cheap ass wine and those downtown Brown Allentown swag joints that you were smoking, that wasn't your downfall.
No, my downfall. Crack became my downfall.
So you didn't mind sniffing it
because the cocaine was no longer. Again, the progression of this thing, it was no longer doing it anymore. I needed something more.
The sniffing part.
Yeah. It ended up with bleeding nose and skin building up inside. And I kept walking in the house going, and my mother wanted to know what was wrong with my lips. That was kind of hard to explain. Yeah, so I think I'll take that water now. My mouth getting dry.
I knew that would happen.
Yeah.
So then tell me, like, it's interesting because, you know, like I had a progression as well, you know, and I progressed, and, you know, like the sort of same, but like my progression took me on a different route, and yours took you one way, and, you know, it becomes then a lifestyle. And at what point did you finally like realize that like that was your life?
Of using?
Because let's break it down. If you were 19-ish,
about 30 years old.
if 19 when you started, and you're 17 years in now,
About 25 years old. I know that for a fact.
Okay.
Because I was using for 30 years.
that's a 30-year progression right
Yeah,
there.
yeah, I was using for 30 years.
And at 25 is that age where things are supposed to be
Start
developing
to begin
differently.
to develop.
Yes.
Yep.
So you started realizing this was not the way of life.
This was not the way to live. I mean, as much fun as I thought that I had, it really wasn't. You know what I mean? When I started looking at the people that I began to separate myself from, when I stopped looking at how I was designing my life to play out, was no longer happening that way. You know, I actually wanted to be a CIA agent. My whole life, I always wanted to be in the CIA.
Why?
I don't know. Maybe I watched too many movies on TV, but that's what I was shooting for. You know what I mean? And I thought one of the ways to do that was learn as many things about as many things as I could.
So,
I mean,
smoking crack
that
was a way to learn
yeah.
how to be a CIA agent?
Yeah. I mean, listen, man, you'd be surprised what those guys end up doing just to. But
Oh my
I
gosh,
think
the justification for that.
The disease lasted for about 30 years. 30 years. And,
Oh wait, you're calling it.
something needed to
Did you say disease?
Yeah,
Why did you say disease? What do you mean it's a
because
disease?
that's exactly what it is.
What do you mean? You could choose to stop, can't you?
No.
No.
I-
Why
you-
would you say disease?
because
Isn't a disease something that
I
you
know exactly what it is now that I didn't know before.
Well, tell me.
I'll get into that a little bit more later, but let's finish this off, okay?
No, I want to know right now why
Okay.
it's a disease.
All right, all
I'm
right.
asking you now.
All right.
I'll come back to later.
It becomes a disease because when I opened it up, unfolded it, and looked at the whole thing, it wasn't the drug that was the problem. It was why I was using the drug that was the problem. You know what I mean? This is why it becomes a disease for me, because I have to think about the mental health aspect of this. What's prompted this whole thing? I think what prompted this whole thing was, one, I'm born down south in a place, in a city, in a country, in a state that don't want me there, first of all. And secondly, I have all these hard tasks to do just to be normal, to live up to what is called normalcy. And then third, I get shipped off to this other place where everybody can do whatever they want to do, and that was in conflict with what I was taught. You know what I mean? And then the next thing happens is that I end up connecting to these people that I thought were friends, but I only friends because I only could have association with them while I was high. You know, come on, that didn't make no sense to me, man. See, I had to look back at this whole thing and determine if it was the drugs or was it truly a disease. And I believe that it was truly a disease.
And that's why, because your conversation would have led right to that anyway.
Yeah, that's what
I
was
mean,
going.
it's funny because people who think that it's a choice, you know, I mean, do they think it's a choice that you're gonna dabble on which one you like a shot or something like that, to decide which one is you like? You know, you're gonna, I like the kamikaze, I'm gonna stick with that for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
You know, it's a series of experiments, and
A choice is when somebody said to you, here, try this champagne. It's not like the other ones we had. See how you like this one. And I'll choose to do that. But when it becomes no longer a choice is when I'll take that one, and this one. Because now I'm trying to feed something. And what am I trying to feed?
So, crack cocaine,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the 70s, the 80s, it was notorious amongst,
Most blacks.
let's
doubt.
say it. That's really was a downfall.
That's what it was geared to.
And it was sort of like we're killing each other sort of thing.
Sure.
By
That
the
was the
selling
reason
and the
for it.
using. The selling and the using and all that. It was sort of,
The reason for it was to eliminate the black population. That was the idea behind it, until they started getting hooked on it. And their children started getting hooked on it, and it was no longer it was no longer doing what they expected it to do. It had taken a different turn. Again, we're still talking about progression. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because even their children had to come to some line in the sand where they said, "Oh man, I want to stop this, but I don't know how. I can't."
Did you, so back, 70s, 80s, smoking crack, did you frequent Kensington?
No,
No.
never. I never been out here in my life.
Because Kensington was the open air drug market for crack.
I
And
didn't know that. I was young.
So where did you score then?
Around our way.
So it wasn't just Kensington you could buy crack in back then?
No, hell no. Hell no.
No.
No. You can find it anywhere, wherever you buying. People would have it because everybody had the need to have it. You know what I mean? And supply and demand required it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, you can find it anywhere. I wasn't doing it on 17th Street, but when I moved down here on 10th Street, Spring Garden, 10th and Wallace, 10th and Mount Vernon, then I began to cycle through that because now you got people on Girard Avenue, you got 10th and Master, you got 8th and Master, you got 13th and Butler, you got all these people selling this thing and people running around going, "Ooh, this is great, you should try this." I wish I never touched that sucker.
So you think just moving across Broad Street, huge difference for you?
Yeah, I mean, the dynamics change wherever you're at.
But now, would the addiction have found you if you didn't live over there? So if it's a disease?
Sooner or later.
Okay.
I mean, sooner or later, because I'm going to remind you again that it's not the drug.
Oh, okay.
It was the disease of addiction that had me captive. You know what I mean? Those things that I didn't want to confront, those traumas, those hidden issues, that secret thing going on in the back of my head that I said I'll never tell anybody about. You know what I mean? And in order to subdue that pain, subdue those feelings or those emotions, I needed to take something to cover it up. Cough syrup would try to do it. You know what I mean? I'd try to drink so much sugar that I'd be running off the walls. Anything that could have taken me outside of my thought processes and dealing with what the core issue was.
We sit here and we laugh because we know, because we're both recovery. And we both know because we've both been there. We did whatever we could sometimes, But it makes me laugh because, we ran recovery homes at one point and we couldn't figure out why our
For the life of it.
hand sanitizer was constantly being emptied, and we had cases of it. And it's not funny. I'm laughing because it's funny now that we look back, but they were drinking the hand sanitizer because of whatever they can get their hands on. That's an addiction. That's a problem.
That's a problem.
That's not when you say you have a choice. That's when you know you have an issue.
You don't have a choice in that case.
Right.
But still, you have to go back and understand that it's still a mental health issue. Because until you resolve whatever that is that's keeping you going back to doing that, you're going to keep doing it.
So, and you went to school. You got your psychology. You also are a certified recovery specialist.
Yep.
Which is amazing. I mean, you do good things with that. But there is that correlation between mental health and addiction.
And I'll keep reminding people every time I get an option.
So, why wouldn't it be easier, Michael? Why wouldn't it have been easier for me to just go get my mental health taken care of instead of suffering through 5 overdoses and shooting up on a daily and destroying my whole life?
Because the system believes that you need to be not under the influence to be helped mentally. But I believe that in the course of working with individuals like I've been doing for the last 17 years, I deal in their mental health first. And if their mental health can become stabilized or subsided some, then they can hear me clearly about the addiction. But when I try to deal with the addiction and not deal with the mental health part, I'm going to keep using because I'm in pain.
So did you deal with your mental health part?
My mental health part? Oh, yeah. I'm a step person. In my 4th step, I clear myself out almost completely.
And the 4th step is?
And 4th step is...
I don't even know. You can't repeat it. See,
Not right now. Oh God! But it's a house cleaning step. You know what I mean? I fixed that, didn't I? It's a house cleaning step. The key here is to come into contact with all of those people, places, and things that caused you harm, and even the ones that you caused harm. You know what I mean? It's about analyzing your assets as well. You know what I mean? Because we have great qualities.
You're taking inventory.
Yeah, taking inventory.
Yeah, you're afraid to say that word.
But yeah, I work with too many clothes. You talk about inventory. You know what I mean? And in that process, you began to heal. But most people think that that's the key point of it, and it's not. Because the addict that I am, I'm only going to be ready to share with you what I want to share with you. And that's all going to be surface stuff. The key work is done underneath all of that. When you freed yourself from the top stuff and the bottom things start bubbling up to the surface, and you sit there and don't know why you're crying or why you're feeling blue or down. You know what I mean? Because you're starting to come into contact with the core of what the initial problem was, and you don't know how to deal with it.
So you're a firm believer of the 12 steps.
Oh, hell yeah. For even if you don't have an addiction problem, I believe that people should use it.
And it's not a bad thing to work. It's painful. It's a very painful thing to do. It's not something like, I'm going to sit down and write these letters down.
It's life maintenance is what the 12 steps are.
It's constant life
maintenance. Life maintenance. Because when I have cleared all of my stuff out, I know there's not a doubt in my mind that there's still one piece lingering back there wondering, what am I going to do when this don't work? What am I going to do when this fails? You know what I mean? What am I going to say to people? How am I going to respond to them when I go around telling them all the stuff that I'm saying now, and all of a sudden I relapse and go back there? How can I justify that? I can't. You know what I mean? And they're not going to understand the fact that an addict is an addict is an addict. You know what I mean? We all are doomed to mishaps, you know what I mean, and slip-ups. You know what I mean? But that doesn't take anything away from who I am. I told myself that I'd be afraid to go around anybody after that because I talk too much crap. You know, I do. And it's all good stuff and it's all the right stuff. But I believe that my knowing that and my understanding that the possibility that I could relapse and go to that place exists is the reason why I know I'll never go back to using again. I work in an area filled with individuals that are constantly using all day long, day in and day out, and that is the blessing of Christ for me.
Which in itself is a really messed up thing because you took yourself out of 30 years of active addiction where you hit rock bottom many, many, many times. There really isn't a rock bottom. So let's just get rid of that. There is really no bottom.
Doesn't exist.
The bottom doesn't exist. The bottom is nil. The bottom is zero. You know?
That's right.
It's it's an infinite sort of thing. I guess you could say maybe instead of zero. But but then you threw yourself into like service, and not just service of like you're going to go down to the mission and you're going to work that day because you're a very religious person. You're Christian, correct?
Oh, yes, I am.
You believe in the rapture, correct?
Oh, hell yeah.
That's a different episode.
That's a whole nother episode.
That's a rapture. So you're one of them.
Oh, yes, I am too. I believe that Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior.
So like right now,
you
could just disappear right now.
And I also believe that He rose again 3 days later. So yes, oh hell yeah.
So if the rapture were to happen, you would be gone right now.
Oh, I don't know.
Where would you go if the rapture happened?
I don't know. That's not a choice for me.
What happens to me though if I'm not a person?
Oh, see, now this is we're not supposed to be getting into this yet. I know you tried over the months to get me to have this conversation, but it's not one that I'm going to have right now.
Oh, shit.
Okay, so you might stuff that part, but yeah, I am a Christian.
I was doing good. I was doing good though.
Do recovery as well.
And a lot of recovery is faith based. Let's say.
I would think that it is because if you look at the program itself in general, it's spiritual contact. It's all spiritually related. You know what I mean? I don't care if you choose God, Christ, or whoever you want to be your higher power. I'm not even caring about that. I want you to get one thing done. I want you to start working on yourself. You know what I mean? You can identify what higher power you want later on down the line if you want. But for this moment, how about letting people that have some time or some people who have been through this process and doing the right things because of it to be your mentor or to be your guide? You know what I mean? I sponsored 10 people. And the youngest time that I have in those 10 people is 6 years. 6 years to 14 years, clean and sober, all of my people are.
So you just said clean and sober. How important is that in the world of recovery today? Clean and sober. Don't forget, it's 2025.
I'm there.
Back it up.
It is, but I think that it is to a point.
So if I'm brand new and I'm out there and I've been talking about going into treatment forever and everything but what's scaring me is this clean and sober language. So go off of that.
Yeah, I work with a lot of people on a daily basis, man, that so much want to get past this addiction thing. And for the life of them, they don't understand why they can't. They can't because in order for them to do this, there's got to be something that's going to hold them over, carry them through the withdrawal and all this stuff to get to that place. And it's not being offered by the system. You know what I mean? So they would rather not even go to
So
treatment.
once again, it's a systematic failure.
Yep. They won't even go to treatment no more. I can't even get anybody to go to treatment no more because they done been there so many times.
But
and
when
the results are the same.
those that do go to treatment, they get out and they're not totally abstinent because they are on methadone or they're on Sublocade or Suboxone.
True, but one step before that, they get out, and they get out because the system failed them already again.
Because
by
they were
giving
in
them
long
12
enough.
days and giving them 13 days.
It's a microwave fix.
Oh, God.
It's like warming up your meal. It's, it's going to last for, 10 minutes and it goes back. So
It's already bad enough that a person like me would go into treatment and come out of treatment, and the prospects are already set against me. You know what I mean? And I give everything to my program, and it's still set against me that I will fail. So I have to every day keep proving it wrong, that I won't fail. And that way that I can prove it wrong that I won't fail is constant service. That's for me.
you love service.
Oh, heck yes, man. I spent the first 10 years cleaning my church every Saturday.
Yes, you
just
did.
because I wanted to do it. Not because nobody asked me to do it. Because I wanted to do it. You know what I mean? I needed to get into contact with this giving back thing. And I tell my sponsees one simple phrase. Whatever it is that you're looking to achieve, whatever it is you're looking for to come in a blessing form or to get back to is found in your giving. So you need to ask yourself, what are you giving? So if you're giving nothing, why would you be expecting anything? So I always leave them with that because I want them to understand that their service has value, and the value isn't to someone else. The value is to their self-worth. The value is to their spiritual and emotional growth. You know what I mean? The value is to their continued sobriety and recovery. And don't get it twisted neither, because sobriety and recovery are not the same things. I hope nobody don't think that, because they really are not, man.
So why is it so important then for people to say that I have 17 years sober or I have 17 years in recovery? I don't use the word sober just because it's a stigma to people, sometimes, and it holds people back because whatever. But why?
I think that sometimes it's about the language in the rooms of recovery, and the guidelines, their guidelines and their bylines has specifically stated this, and it has to be adhered to, all right? According to their bylines, it has to be adhered to. I mean, my first year, I had given up that idea. Because I can see what is coming at me, and I can see how to combat it with the right circle of people around me. I mean, the text says the broader the base, the larger the amount of people you have around you, the greater the point of freedom. And I believe that truly, but it gets lost somewhere in the transition between, hi, my name is Mike, and I'm an addict. Or, hi, my name is Mike, I'm a person in long-term recovery. But see, how can you acknowledge being in recovery when you first haven't acknowledged that you had an issue?
So why is it that if I go to an AA meeting, I can't say, hi, I'm Britt, I'm a person that suffers from substance use disorder, that it has to be, hi, I'm Britt, I'm an alcoholic.
Yeah, right.
Hey, I'm Britt, I shot heroin. Why can't I say that in AA
I
meetings?
have not a clue.
Why is there a segregation there of AA, NA, CA, SA, all those A's?
Why do you think I dropped them all and went to Christian Fellowship? I can say whatever I want to say, and nobody's going to say anything to me about it. They're going to wrap their arms around me and love me.
So is their way wrong? Is Bill's way wrong?
No, it needs to be rectified according to the times.
How long ago did Bill start that organization?
Shit, I don't know.
And it was always called anonymous
That stuff didn't
because
faze me. I didn't care about
it was always
that.
called anonymous because there was a stigma to it, and people that were labeled with it, there was something wrong with it.
Well, first of all,
it wasn't cool.
I think that when it came out, that they wanted the confidentiality of it. They didn't want you to be feeling guilty or something because people know that this is what you're doing, and this is why they induced the not anonymity to it. But anonymity is only good for so long, bro. Trust me, because you would tell on your own self. So I have no anonymity. You can ask me anything that you want to ask me, and I'm going to tell you. Just be careful that you're worried. Be aware if you want to hear the response, because I'm going to tell you exactly what I think, whether you like it or not.
So, do you believe that the recovering out loud, like we sort of do, is the right way nowadays in 2025 compared to?
I believe it's up to the individual.
I
believe it has to be up to the individual, because
listen,
some things
the rooms help. The rooms help.
You can lose a lot of things and a lot of respect for people because they have this information now. So I believe that it would be up to the individual. The only time I talk around recovery like this is when I'm in a setting of recovery. But when I'm outside of that thing, I pretty much try to leave it alone because, one, I can't. It is who I am and it's what I do. I mean, so it's really kind of difficult for me to find a conversation to get into where I can't talk about recovery. But then I have to remember that everybody's not recovering.
No.
This is my issue, not theirs. You know what I mean? So I can't be putting my stuff off on them. So here go the psychology of this crap again, man.
Don't push your shit on me. So let's not talk about recovery. Let's talk about the rapture.
No, we're not talking about rapture.
All right. So let's back to recovery then.
Okay.
So when we talk about that, and it's true, it's really weird because before people wanted to be anonymous. Nobody wanted to know. People didn't want to know because you had a disease. You were looked at like a leper or something like that. Now people don't want to shut up about it. Now people introduce themselves like that.
Addiction was in the closet just like a homeboy. It was in the closet, man.
Whoa.
I'm
Hell of
sorry.
an analogy, brother.
That was messed up. But you understand what I'm talking about, though, man. It was in the closet. Nobody
Michael's
wanted to hear
opinions
it
are
out loud. Nobody wanted to hear it out loud. You know what I mean? But the days, addiction and recovery is changing.
Yeah.
I really believe that there's some things that need to be changed. The textbooks need to be rewritten to fit today's time. We don't use the same drugs as people are using today. We don't get recovery the same way that people did and when I was doing it. You know what I mean? And HIPAA needs to just go ahead and be revised because it fits nothing. It fits nothing to do with this at all anymore. You know what I mean? So if we want some change and some action to take care, then we got to do it on the legislative level.
Oh.
Yeah. It has to be done on the legislative level.
Takes power.
Yeah. Takes some good people.
Numbers.
Takes
Lots
some
of
good
numbers to come together. A lot of unity. But there's also, once again, there's a division in recovery too. In this whole world that we live in and that we work in, there's a division.
Yeah, there is. But watch this too. There's becoming more awareness because it's happening to more people that didn't think it was going to happen to them. Senators and governors and state representatives, all these people, families are getting involved in this. Now they understanding that it's not just an us problem, it's all of our problem.
Do you think it's just happening or it's always been happening? People are just talking out about it because it's becoming more and more freely talked about.
Did I tell you it was in the closet?
There you go.
They couldn't do it because it would devastate their family and the people that are connected to
livelihood,
them. Yeah.
their jobs. I mean, look,
definitely.
You don't want to do
I
that.
say it loudly. I say it loudly because if you're have an issue with me telling you about who I am and what's going on with me and what I need to do to make me feel better, then I think your best bet is not to talk to me. It really is. Because, see, I can take and turn this whole thing around and show you where you're an addict. I can show you where you have a problem. It may not be substance use or substance abuse. It may be too much coffee. It might be too much exercise. It might be too much everything. You know what I mean? When we start doing things in an abstract amount, we set ourselves up for that.
It doesn't really just come in a chemical form.
No,
It's
not
what you're
at all.
trying to say.
Not at all.
Because we replace them. We replace our addictions. And even as a person that, suffers from addiction, we replace our addictions. So once we become that sobriety person, then all of a sudden food takes over or shopping
Living
or
proof.
whatever. Oh, yeah, we know.
Living proof, man. I was 129 pounds. I'm over 213 pounds
You're
now.
also smoking a lot of crack.
Oh,
So,
yeah, well.
that gives you a 129-pound physique.
Yeah.
Once you stop doing that and you start bringing nutrients into your body,
Yeah, I know.
you grow into your body, brother.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with all of that stuff, man. My job today is to be an example. It's to stand as a beacon of hope for the individuals who don't know or don't even believe that this can work for them. You know what I mean? And in the rooms, they would tell us that if you want what we have, do what we do. Try it. It might not work for you, but try something.
So, what if I were that person that approaches us on the street when we're doing our outreaches and stuff, and we give you the tale that we've been out here using so long, we can't do it anymore, and we need help, or we need to get something. What would you tell that person?
I wouldn't tell them nothing about that, though. What I'll try to do, first of all, is empathize with them first. Because in order to get a person to talk with you openly and honestly, they need to know that you feel where they're coming from. They need to, or they're not going to talk to you. I had such a difficult time after that 5 years in college of learning how to implement all the stuff that I've learned as a psychologist. I didn't know how to open the doors of communication. So I'm standing right there next to the Sunshine House, smoking a cigarette with Lisa Kelly. And I'm going, well, what the hell how am I going to do this? I don't know how to approach these people because we never covered that in college. So I was lighting a cigarette, and this guy walked up to me and says, hey, man, you got another cigarette? Scratching his sores on his arm and face peeling and hair's semi-clean and semi-dirty and semi-nappy. You know what I mean? His clothes have one shoe on and one slipper, hospital slipper on, the other foot, and it's 35 degrees outside, no coat on, his shirt is hanging outside of his hospital pants.
So common.
And I gave him the cigarette, and we stood there, and he stood right there with me, smoking a cigarette, and just started talking. We just started talking about anything.
So is that your connecting? Is that your connector right there, the cigarettes?
Yep.
That's why you do that?
I had nothing to do.
For people who don't know,
it worked, bro.
Michael is like the cigarette king.
I am.
If you ask him for a cigarette, you're going to get one.
Yes, you
Unless he doesn't have one,
Yeah.
he won't say no.
And I'm
If
gonna
it is his last one, he'll give it
I'm
to
gonna
you.
always have one.
So that's why you do that. Because it connects you.
Yep. That's a purpose for my madness. There was the only way that I could find out how to open that door of communication. And it works for me for the last 8 years.
What happens if you stop smoking cigarettes ever?
I'm not. Sorry. I mean, the doctors may make me have to do it once, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm not. Because if it's the I can still use them as the catalyst and I don't have to smoke. But that ain't gonna happen. I mean, listen, man. I think that for me, life is really simple now. Do the right thing just simply because that's what it is. Treat people the way that I want to be treated. Be aware of those individuals who are hurting inside and don't know how to ask for help. Because if you pay close attention, their spirit will cry out to you, asking you for help that they can't even say in words.
I love that.
You know what I mean?
That's
so
true.
I look at their consonants, their continents, the outside of the spiritual part of them, and it yells and screams in my ear of what to say to them and how to say that to them. Because most times you don't know, because you don't know what their state of mind is. So I trust in the God that I serve to guide me right to that place. He was clear with me. I need you to stand as a beacon of hope in the middle of hell. And I asked him where was hell. He said Kensington and Somerset. I've been standing at Kensington and Somerset for 8 years. I still stand at Kensington and Somerset.
I know you do. You go out of your way to go to Kensington and Somerset
Yes, I do.
to get to work.
Yes, I do.
You take 3 modes of transportation
Yes, I do.
instead of just one.
Yes, I do. Because I need them to see me.
So now this makes sense to me.
I
Before
need
I
them
just
to
thought
see
you were a
me.
crazy old man.
I need them to see that I'm still here and I'm still around and I'm still available to them. It had nothing to do with how I got to work. It was the purpose for me going to work. Okay. It's really hard, man, to be me. I mean, I'm not being funny saying that, but it really is because it requires a lot that most people aren't willing to give. And most people can't give because they don't have. And if you're not spiritually grounded, spiritually rooted in something that's good and something that's passionate and something that's positive, you don't have it to give. How can you give something you don't possess?
So with all the stuff you give, all the giving you do, you know, all the time you spend,
What
you
about
know,
Mike?
what do you do for yourself, brother?
I knew it was coming. I was waiting on it patiently.
Yeah, it's about time.
For
What do you
me,
do for self-care?
For me, I'm okay. I learned to be okay with being by myself. You know what I mean? I have taken on so many personalities of other people throughout the decades of my life that when I finally cleansed myself off and got to see me for the very first time, I didn't recognize me. When I did recognize who that person was, and I knew that I needed to put something else inside of me that didn't require a part of you or a part of somebody else, that I decided that everything that's going to go inside of me is going to be positive and giving.
And that's, I think, a great way. I mean, we didn't even get into everything you do, man. We didn't get into what you do for Philly Unknown, that you help run the workforce participants, you help run the garden, you help run the hub, you help run the thrift store. You go down to the Sunshine House, you help there, you still do outreach on the street. You still attend meetings, not the meetings that we talked about, but other meetings. And, you know, finding that time for yourself is so difficult when you devote your life to service.
I found that if I'm serving properly, I have everything that I need. I have everything that I need. See, when most people look at me like you would probably do, or somebody else, they would look to say the physical is what they're looking at. They're looking at what they can see with their eyes. But it's not about that. It's about what's going on in here for me. It's about this clean spirit that I have, man. It's about this passion I have for somebody else's suffering, and I plead that I can take it away from them and give them some. Give them some of what I have that they can continue on to the next steps of their lives. And I've watched this happen. I felt it happen a whole bunch of times at the beginning of Kensington, Somerset.
Well, if you're not standing at Kensington, Somerset, people could find you at Community Thrift on West Girard.
2819 West Girard.
2819 West Girard. You're there at least 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Wednesdays definitely, and other days as well.
Find me at the Sunshine House.
Find you there. Or they can find you at the garden in the summertime.
Find me at the garden in the summer because I'm going to be there.
You're out there.
No, you're going to find me. And know that when you run into me, you're never going to forget me.
Whether you like it or not.
Whether you like it or not. There's nothing you can do about it.
I agree.
I'm going to love you till you learn to love your own self. And I ain't scared.
So will you come back and have that conversation with me about the rapture?
Yeah, sometime. We'll talk about rapture sometime.
Right, we will.
That would be probably a good conversation.
Well, it's going to be a crazy conversation.
I'm bringing my Bible with me.
No, you can't do that.
I don't have a choice.
You can't.
There's so much you need to know, man.
Do you still read the Bible, Michael?
Every single day.
Okay.
5 passages a day, every day.
Those are your affirmations?
No, not for affirmation.
Oh.
That's strictly scripture reading.
Okay.
I do 5 scripture readings a day. I finished the whole Bible like 14 times already. But I still get up every morning and read my 5 passages as part of my recovery journal. I still read my Just for the Day. I don't read the textbook no more because the textbook is in here. I can recite all that by heart. You know what I mean, I still have the Alcoholics Anonymous book. I know it by heart. I still have the Cocaine Anonymous book. I know it by heart. So it's not that I'm distancing myself from what brought me to this place. It's that I'm molding it over to figure out an easier, softer way to give it to somebody else. Yeah. Everybody responds differently to things, so.
I love that.
It'll always be the individual. I have to consider who the individual is first, because what I say will depend on who they are and how they receive it.
That sounds like a great place for us to end because you can't really get much better than that and sum it up. You know, you do great things, man.
Yeah.
You do great things. One thing I will say is that, you know, and for somebody your age, because you're old.
I am.
You know, you are.
Our birthday coming up.
June.
Yep, 67.
68. You're already 67.
No, I'm 66.
Then you lied on your application.
Did I?
No, I'm joking. You're fine.
Man, man.
But one thing about you is you're always willing to learn too. And
I'm glad
you're
that I
open to
actually did
suggestions.
this because this stands as a record of who I am and what I'm about when I'm not here no more. So maybe somebody will get to see this down the line that needed to hear it.
Maybe someone will get to see this sooner than you need to hear it.
Yeah, how about that?
So don't sell yourself short there, man.
I don't.
You know, and you're also out there on the documentary Voice of America episode 3,
Yeah, man.
Damage Done.
Yep.
The end of the episode. Get out there and watch that.
Yep.
His part was key. One of the best we ever had. You know, talked about it. Michael, thanks for being here. Thanks for all you do. Thanks for bearing with me all these years because
not easy.
it's neither are you. It's a
I am
dynamic.
not easy.
It's a dynamic, and you know when you got two know-it-alls together, it really is painful.
But it works.
But it works.
But it works.
It does. And thank you so much. And everybody, if you are struggling in any way, shape, or form, reach out. Reach out to Michael Worthy. You know you can find him. Like I said, Community Thrift, Filling Unknown. Reach out to somebody. There is help out there. Recovery is possible.
Yes, it is.
The two of us sitting here are living proof. We have 25 plus years total and more to come. So thanks for coming out today.
Thank you for having me.
Everybody, thanks for joining us. This is Brick Carpenter for Be a Voice on Usula Media. Have a great rest of your day.